Hello everybody and welcome back to 5 Star Potential Podcast Social. It is day 2, episode 2 of this brand new daily podcast we are going to be bringing you across lockdown. Hope you guys are keeping well, and a big thanks for the support on episode 1 that we did obviously yesterday with a second yellow card. As you can see alongside me today we've got another guest, and we are joined again with Dupe. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, man, not too bad.
How was your day?
Not too bad, bud.
All good?
I went for an eye test in lockdown. We'll touch upon it later, but it's weird lockdown, man. But we'll touch upon it later.
Cool. We've got Joe, Friday Night FM. Joe, how's things?
All good, mate. Busy day. You alright?
Good. Yeah, all good, man. All good, thank you. And to round us off, our guest for today is Jack, WorkTheSpace. Jack, how you keeping?
I've had a lovely 5-hour nap this afternoon. Like day 1 of lockdown, sleeping patterns out the window. It's going well.
Good. Well, we'll be talking to Jack a lot more, sort of similar to how we did with second yellow card in episode 1. Because, like I said, sort of before recording, you, Jack, you and Matt have sort of taken similar career paths recently, anyway. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. And like I said earlier on, big thanks for the support on episode 1. Seemed like a lot of people and a lot of the stories and information that we were talking about yesterday seemed relatable for a lot of people. And as always, if you're struggling with your mental health, we leave the links in the description, or if you want to chat to any of us, I'm sure any of us will be happy to talk. We're always here anyway. Dude, eye test, talk to me.
I mean, I understand why they do it. Like, don't get me wrong. Not eye test. I understand eye test clearly, but like, so basically, cut a long story short. For the whole of the lockdown, with me having to work, I'm having to wear a mask at work. So I wear glasses. They're here, they're to hand. We can do this now because it's on camera. The other pod, we don't do camera. And they steam up really quickly, and it makes it almost impossible to do my work. So I've been trying to get contact lenses fitted. And it's been an absolute pain in the ass. But today, I go in, and they scan me. I've had to drive like 40 minutes.
Can I just say, that's where you're going wrong, mate. They go in your eyes, not your arse.
It wasn't an anal probe, it's fine. That's 2 pods and 2 anal jokes I've done. Okay, right. So I've had to drive like 40 minutes to get to my eye test because it's from my work to my hometown. And I'm in the car. I've had the heating on because it's cold. I get out and I literally walk across the street, get scanned, and I'm too hot. Your temperature's too hot.
Oh,
you
good.
need to get tested. Yeah. No, I don't need to get tested. I understand, but I've just got out the car and I've got a coat on and it's warm. Okay, we'll just stand there for 5 minutes and cool down. So I literally just took my coat off, I took like a jumper off, and I'm just like, it's got to get cold,
Yeah.
And then they scan me and they go, "You're too cold. I think our thermometer's busted." And I'm like, hang on, I can't be too hot then too cold, but like being too cold's fine because if you don't have a temperature. Anyway, I then get in, we sit down. And it's taken me ages to get this appointment, like 4 to 5 weeks to get this appointment. And they've done the eye test. They're going to give me the lenses. We got they train you putting them in your eye, and then you go away and you have your contact lenses. It turns out 5 weeks ago the lady didn't order my lenses, so I literally sat down and she's like, "Right, so your lenses. We haven't got your lenses, so we now need to book you back in for next week." I'm like, for fuck's sake, I just want these bloody lenses. But I got a nice coffee, Dave.
That's good.
Thank God that was a long story short.
Yeah.
It's a long drive,
very
though.
frustrating.
Did you say it's 40 minutes to get there?
Well, yeah, from work to my.
That's still a bit of a jaunt, isn't it? Just for her to book you in again for next week.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's some people drive further for eye tests apparently. Topical. But no, Dave, I got a very nice coffee. There's a little guy down the road from me who's got a little pop-up like wagon that does coffee. So supporting local, which is good in lockdown. I'm surprised to see so many shops open, like Poundland. How's that essential? I mean, I know they sell plasters, but
they do scampi fries there. No more scampi fries.
Lockdown essential. But yeah, it's very strange walking down a town high street that's normally absolutely rammed on a Thursday afternoon. It'd just be absolutely dead.
So what does this guy like? What coffees does he do? Like all sorts, or just like a standard?
This is the guy that I put a picture up on Twitter, and I got some proper weird comments about it because basically what it was I bought like a round of coffees for during the dog walk I'm coming out as a massive Tory here. We walked up to the garden estates, and
can I just check? Was this before or after the fox hunt?
This was prior to the fox hunt. I don't condone that.
This is before he hurt his knee. Yeah. Oh, fox hunt, not foxy. Yeah.
Anyway, this is the one, Dave, where I bought a round of coffees and it said flat white on the side £10, and I said the most expensive coffee in the world because I bought 5 coffees and they just write on the cup that I owe £10, for example. No, it's really good. And the one thing I do like, and I'm just going to mention this now because a lot of people aren't going to realise this, and you know me, I'm a charitable guy. Homelessness. At the moment, people aren't in town, they aren't walking around, they're going to struggle. So the local guy to me does a thing called hanging coffees, where you can buy a coffee and you can buy another coffee that if somebody's homeless,
I've seen that.
They can go up and get a coffee. Not saying that anyone homeless is listening to the pod, that might be quite tricky, but like if you are out and about and you can help, like that's another thing you need to help, because the amount of people walking past these homeless people and they're not going to get the help that they need.
You're actually being serious. I was going to make a herb joke.
No, I'm genuinely being serious. Yeah. Sorry, I've started this off really different to how we expected. But no, seriously, like that is something massive. But we can make a herb joke, that's fine.
Well, we are going to continue with the deep questions for Jack anyway, like we did for Matt yesterday. Lockdown, obviously with you sort of almost working from home now, I suppose, which we'll talk about more later on in the podcast. What were your initial thoughts when lockdown was announced on Saturday?
Honestly, I'd kind of been preparing for it. When it leaked kind of on the Saturday morning, I was like, right, I need to get a haircut, I've booked in. Football Manager Beta's coming out in the next month. You know, potentially going straight to seeing family, hopefully at Christmas. Like, get a grocery shopping slot booked if I could get one. No, it was weird. Because I've always been preparing for this month is like Football Manager month, really. Like, I've known for a while, and because of the nature of like what I now do as a career, I was not going to see much sunlight anyway. So for me personally, it's not like a massive change in things. And to be fair, I feel like for the most part, I kind of handled the first lockdown okay. And whilst I'm not necessarily expecting this one to actually be 4 weeks, I think, I'm kind of in my head thinking it's probably going to be longer. I feel like we've at least for me personally, it's like I've done this before, I know I can get through it kind of thing. There's like a lot less of the unknown, I suppose, about it compared to round one earlier in the year.
When did you sort of make the transition from was it before the first lockdown when you left your like
No,
job, or...
It was very weird actually. I left my work actually were really, really good at Creative Assembly. I worked for a game studio, and about a week before lockdown happened, they were like, we're sending you all home. I think they kind of knew it was happening anyway.
Yeah.
And at that point, I'd kind of, in the back of my mind, I'd been thinking, around FM21 could be a quite good time to leave the nest kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But then once I was in this environment when I was at home, I made the place feel a lot more homely. I don't know about anyone else, but I didn't realise how much I didn't like the space that I was spending my evenings in. I didn't really care about, but when you're there like all day long, it's like, right, I want to get some plants. I want to make it a little bit nicer. But it wasn't until a few months from working from home that I was like, I'm going to quit my job now, I think. It was a bit of not a spontaneous decision. It'd always been in the back of my mind, but I think kind of being in lockdown, I'd kind of realised I can work from home quite well. I feel like you never really know with that kind of situation. It's like, how well disciplined will I be if I'm working from home? And like, how am I mentally going to cope with maybe not seeing as many people through the day and not, having to, a workplace to go to necessarily. And for me, it was kind of man, I actually really kind of enjoy this, so let's leave. So it was around end of July. So although lockdown had officially ended, then my company was still working from home anyway. So it was a bit weird kind of leaving a job. You've not got like the traditional huddle round your desk or anything like that. It's kind of just like one day you log off from Microsoft Teams saying, bye guys, see you later, and kind of free. So it was a bit weird.
Like you said then, so like, was that quite so when did you start thinking about, full-time content creation is a serious possibility now?
So I had been thinking about it for a long time. It was more a case of lockdown made me accelerate. I was like, man, loads of people are like, changing how they're doing things. If there's like a time to do it, maybe now is like a good time. Like I've got a bit of money saved up. This is traditionally, going into the quieter season of Football Manager. Realistically, you do as a creator, have those peaks when the new game comes out. And so I'd always kind of been thinking about it, but I think it kind of got to May time and I was like, I'm really liking working from home. I feel like, I'm putting out really good stuff. People are enjoying it more and more. Why wait, I suppose, to leave my job? I'm probably going to be working from home until I want to leave anyway. Like, it just kind of made... The stars aligned, I think, and in many ways I've been thinking about, and lockdown kind of was just a kick up the arse I needed to do it sooner.
And sort of during lockdown 1, so obviously you were sort of going to be working from home anyway for your old company. How did you cope with obviously not really being able to see friends and family as much as possibly you were beforehand? Was that hard for you to deal with, or did you adapt to that quite well?
I think it's weird, right? I am someone who I consider myself fairly... I keep myself to myself. I'll go out a few times a week.
Yeah.
But it was I think within my friendship groups, at least, there was always someone trying to organise a quiz every other week or just like a poker night every other week. And I am someone who I don't take the initiative enough to set those kind of things up. I'm kind of the person who will just get roped into it at the end. And I've been trying to change that attitude, I suppose, a little bit through lockdown. So for me, that really helped me cope, I think, in a bizarre way. There's some people I think I've spoken to more during lockdown than I perhaps would have done normally, if everyone was working. Because everyone's got a bit more free time, there's a little less commuting. And I think it makes people pause a little bit. You stop thinking about all the other stuff that's going on and kind of, I should contact that person I went, who I was friends with at school and just see how they're doing kind of thing, and just, drop people messages and stuff. So for me, it's kind of been weird. I think people closer to me, like geographically, I've seen less, but there's been some people I've been able to reconnect with through lockdown. So that's kind of been a really nice kind of side effect, I suppose, of just everything going on.
Yeah, I think Matt said yesterday that similar sort of thing with friends and stuff. They were speaking and doing a quiz with people that he wouldn't necessarily speak to as much during lockdown. I think in a way it has brought some people closer together with people either they haven't spoken to in a while or maybe people they've never been that close with before. So I think it sort of has been good with that. Poker nights, dupe. You used to like a poker night.
Yeah, man, I'm big with that. I think I've been chatting to Ben quite a bit about it. I think we're going to try and get like a little football manager, or maybe when like the football manager calms down a bit once it all comes out. Maybe do like a Christmas special where we get a few up and we, maybe record a video or whatnot. But no, it's really cool. I kind of get what you're saying though, Jack. You kind of seem like you're reconnecting with people that you maybe didn't really get on that with. I mean, I did it. I've been in like group calls, and it's amazing how much you like somebody that when you can just walk away and pretend you've got internet problems. I actually have had enough of this. I gotta go. It's amazing, mate. It's amazing. That was my check over lockdown. There's lockdown tip number 2, Dave.
Unplug your
you get wound up with talking to people you don't really want to talk about. Just pretend you got internet issues.
Unplug Ethernet cable, tip number 2. Yeah.
Just live at Matt's house and have the power cuts.
Yeah. Oh man, what a nightmare.
It's a good reference.
Yeah.
Great reference.
Big up the streamer showdown. Is there anything that you're gonna sort of change during lockdown 2, maybe, Jack, that you didn't do in lockdown 1, or something in lockdown 1 that you think, right, I should probably change that in lockdown 2?
I think I was going to probably do this more anyway, but just try and go on a walk every day. Mm-hmm. I'm someone who I definitely have to... When I find a routine, I'm in a way, way better spot. I think I'm the kind of person who can quite quickly be sat beavering away. I can work too much without like looking, at the bigger picture, I suppose. And especially with like the new Football Manager coming out. I know as soon as that beta drops, it's going to be like 12 to 16 hour working days for me. I'm going to be going crazy with it. And one thing that I didn't do enough during lockdown 1 was just going out a little bit more. In terms of, I'd go if I needed to go to the store, and I might go for the odd walk where I'd contact someone who friends in the local area and say, hey, I'm going to go for like a walk down the park. Do you want to just join me? So I did a little bit of that, but I want to try and just do that daily. I think just getting in a routine is so important. Like for me, like I always start my day by making my bed, which sounds like such a dumb thing, but for years I just wouldn't make my bed. Like I live alone, roll out of bed, shower, chuck on some clothes, out the door. I'm not going to spend any time in my bedroom like during the evening because I'm just in my living room playing Football Manager all day. So just like having little things that kind of you integrate into your routine, I think is really important. And I did that with a few things, but I think just finding an hour every day to either leave the house or at least just hop on the exercise bike or be doing some kind of, just physical activity is just so important. And I know you hear it all the time, don't you? People go, make sure you're active during lockdown. But I think it's very easy for you to go, yeah, I want to do that, and then really quickly fall out of that pattern. So that's one thing I'm really keen to do with this lockdown is, get out there a little bit more on a daily basis.
I guess it's really easy when you can just be, I didn't go for a walk today, but we can always go tomorrow. When you're kind of off or you're at home for a while. Jack, if you're going for some sort of daily activity every single day, about an hour, I can recommend something that you listen to when you do that.
Is this tip number 3?
Tip number 3. Daily content coming from the 5-Star Social.
It's true.
So you'll be able to listen to it every day, Jack. I'll expect to see a like and a comment every day.
I'll be listening to it on Spotify.
No, we're not on Spotify.
Well, get the
it's
deal.
only YouTube.
YouTube exclusive.
I've got YouTube Premium, so I can just lock my phone screen and the audio keeps playing. So I'm prepared.
Oh, mate, the dreams.
I thought you were gonna say some sort of 5-star pod. I thought you were gonna recommend him listen to the first one up to 160.
Yeah, go through them all, everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, we haven't given away the answer from yesterday, Dave.
Okay, I'll let you do this then. So what was the question at the end? Go on.
Buckle up, people, because this is terrible.
Mate, Joe, this is the highlight, right? So, Jack, basically, we did episode 1 yesterday. Episode number 1 of the 5-Star Pod was a few weeks ago.
Years ago.
Okay,
168 weeks ago.
I'm thinking you've done a lot of episodes in the last few weeks, boy.
We're dedicated to the cause. And there's something that links episode 1 of both pods. And it's a legendary reference in 5-Star Pod. It's the fact that Dave had lemon pasta for tea the night he recorded both of those podcasts. Now, that isn't a massive statement, and like Joe said, it's very terrible, but for the goats out there that really enjoyed the 5-Star Pod, I believe they'll like that fact.
It was either on the pilot episode or episode 1, and I think someone asked, I think it was someone in the chat on Twitch asked if we would bring out a Football Manager recipe book. And someone said, oh, yeah, what would you do? And I went, lemon pasta. And I thought everyone would be like, oh, that sounds nice. And I just got everyone just rinsed me for the last 3 years.
Lemon pasta? I'm not going for it again.
Pasta just you can go listen to the first pod, I suppose.
Your face literally says what it is. Shit.
It doesn't sound. I'm not
I had the
sold on
leftovers
it.
there. I tell you now, it was tremendous. So, yeah.
I think once all this lockdown goes, Dave, I think your mum should just make a massive bowl of it and we all come around and have some lemon pasta.
I can make it. We
I
can
prefer
do
your mum to make it, to be honest. I've seen you cooking, Dave.
A Football Manager come dine with me.
Burns
That's a good show.
You won, Jane. that guy looks like
Curtie.
Curtie
Can be the one that looks disappointed.
Yeah.
That guy does look like Curtie.
Mate,
oh my
doesn't
god.
it? Curtie in
oh my god.
Curtie in 10, 15 years. That's him, innit?
Dave, I feel like you need to edit those pictures in now.
I was going to say, you need to explain it's like a clip from Come Die With Me, isn't it? Which is like
I'll put it
English
in
TV show.
You have the decor of a reversing
dump truck without any tyres on.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I hope you're happy with yourself.
What's it? She says, I don't get it. It's like, well, you wouldn't, would you, love? All that you've got in your head is air or something.
Nothing in there, yeah.
The thing is, though, I'm surprised the camera is so level, because if it was me that was recording it, I'd just be chuckling behind the camera, making it fucking wobble.
The best bit is when he gives the camera the side eye. As if you're recording this.
You got that.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant!
Amazing.
Iconic UK TV. Anyway,
I think that that pops up every Christmas. At Christmas when they produce the top 50 UK TV moments, and it's on pick at 9 o'clock on a like Boxing Day or whatnot. It's class because that sort of thing comes up every single time, and it just makes me chuckle.
Can die me, man. What a show. In terms of lockdown, Jack, we spoke a little bit about family and friends and so on. How are you going to... Do you live close to family at the moment, or...?
No, I live on the other side of the country to family, so it's a little bit weird.
A bit difficult.
I was away for Christmas. I wasn't in the country, so I've only seen my parents, I think, once in the last 20 months, probably.
Wow.
So probably should be seeing them a little more often, but it is just difficult because, they're on the other side of the country. And whilst there was part of me, it's like, maybe I could go visit them, just before lockdown. It's not a good idea anyway, but also it's weird. As a creator, and I need to be able to talk for my job, there's this horrible thing in the back of my mind. It's like, do not get coronavirus, do not get sick, because if you do, you are screwed, with the new game coming out now. It's a really weird, health concern. And I guess it comes out of the fact because I'm self-employed, it's not like I could just phone up an employer and go, I'm not, I think I might have the Rona, sorry, kind of thing. Like, I just can't do anything. I just don't get paid for those days where I'm not doing anything. So there is that. It's like a weird paranoia, I suppose, but it's kind of logical. I feel like it's a pretty reasonable thing to be worried about. And I'm sure anyone who is self-employed is probably just thinking the same thing.
Talking of sickness, Dave, you've done very well from the end of last night's pod to tonight, sounding like a bag of shit like you sounded last night.
I was covering my. If anyone watched it, I was doing that, and basically I could just feel my nose.
Like you were sucking your thumb.
Yeah, it just felt like my nose was just dripping. I thought I'm just gonna do that, and there's gonna be just snot all around my nose. But I'm still a bit bunged up. I don't think it's the Rona. I played football yesterday, and it was
the miracles of lemon pasta, isn't it?
That's it, man.
Hiding his nose quicker than Danielle Westbrook. Crikey.
But yeah, it's been alright. I've got better anyway. Have you ever thought, Jack? Now you're self-employed, you do your own thing. Have you ever thought, or part of you have thought, maybe I should move closer to my family, or has that never crossed your mind really?
The logic is maybe I should move to a cheaper area, to be honest. Cause
so are you in London now? Are you?
I'm on the outskirts of London, so I'm like on one of the main lines into London. It's kind of the town that I live in is a very kind of commuter-centric one, where a lot of people who want the town life whilst working in central London will live where I live. So it's just not cheap. There's part of me that loves it because I can get to Gatwick Airport really easily, and it is quite nice. So it's like you're going somewhere knowing that you can get to an airport in like half an hour. Mm-hmm. And I can't say that I'm desperate to move back to Lincoln, but at the same time, there's part of me that's like, there is definitely cheaper places up north, closer to like friends and family, that probably would make more sense. At the same time, it's kind of a case of, whilst the world's in the current state it's in, it just doesn't feel like worth the additional mental strain of a house move. And also, as a creator, you don't really want to move house. Like realistically, I'd be looking for like either a terrace house or a flat, right, to live on my own in. Like, I don't want to move into somewhere that either has crap internet or has neighbours who are just banging 24/7. So it's quite nice having the safety net of my flat is a really good recording environment, and I know I'm not going to have too many problems. So there's like weird considerations, I guess, that float in the back of my mind.
I'll probably. I'm sure Duke was probably going to say something about Tom FM in Lincoln.
I was, the not wanting to move back to
Me
Lincoln.
too.
That's the Tom FM effect.
Yeah,
I can see why you'd want to distance yourself from that.
I don't want to take his crown as the biggest FM content creator in Lincoln.
I thought you were going to say the biggest loser in Lincoln then.
Well, he can keep that if I move there.
He's always got a head of toilets.
Yeah. I was going to say, after the last streamer showdown,
that made me so happy. I mean, I don't want to be that guy, but that made me very happy.
I mean, it proves it's all random, doesn't it? He goes from winning it to finishing last. Irrelevant.
The only annoying bit is, Jack, we had the title of the people that had gone out in the elimination were the best at the game, and now Tom's in that group, so that's a lie.
That's true.
Yeah.
Obviously, this one is always an interesting subject, obviously, to talk about. Obviously, we spoke with Matt about it yesterday, but in terms of mental health, like we said yesterday, men tend to have a bit of a struggle about reaching out for help. Is that something that have you ever reached out, or do you think you'd be able to reach out if you really needed that little bit of help?
Yeah, I never really talked about this, but I went through the CAMS system growing up, which is for children adult mental health. It's an NHS thing, and I definitely had my struggles in my younger years. I feel like I have quite a lot of coping mechanisms now, and I can recognise very early on signs that either I'm feeling very overwhelmed about something, or I'm feeling particularly negative, and I can respond to that really quickly now. I feel like I'm quite fortunate in the sense that I was able to get that help very not super early on, but at a point where now in my life I'm able to apply it. I feel like there's a lot of people who perhaps go through their later teen years, early kind of years of adulthood, kind of just navigating through it, and you kind of get to a point where it gets really bad and you don't have a way of dealing with it. So for me, like I said, just little things like finding a routine I think is so important. If I'm ever feeling overwhelmed because I feel like I've got a load of stuff to do, or I'm particularly anxious about stuff, just listing it down and trying to break it down into what can I actually deal with right now? What is a problem that I can't do anything about now? There's no point in worrying about it. And so for me, in a weird way, just getting stuff in front of me like that is really, really helpful. Yeah, it's weird because I feel like now I can deal with it quite well. I've never felt in recent years like I've needed to reach out in a slightly odd way. I feel like I'm quite fortunate in that regard. But at the same time, like, there's definitely days where I wake up and I'm like, man, I am struggling today. And sometimes you just got to kind of give yourself, it sounds so easy to go, I just need to give myself a kick up the arse. But I know how to get myself going, I suppose, in a weird way. Whereas there was definitely a point in my life where I would just get up and that was me for the day, like on a constant low, and there wasn't a way to turn it around.
It's quite interesting, like you say, because Matt said something very similar, didn't he, with listing stuff down and stuff like that, and like actually having it in your head, like what you want to do or what you need to do. Like he was saying, like when he was working from home as well, before he started doing the content creation thing full time, like he would have his work on one monitor but have a podcast or YouTube video on the other. And he'd feel like after 2 hours he'd done loads of work, but he hadn't actually. He'd probably been investing 75% of his time in that, watching the podcast, whether than actually doing work. But he said, like, when he was struggling and he had so many things like juggling, if he did a list, he'd get it done, and it would just make his life so much easier. So it is interesting, you know, that sort of thing. So, if you don't mind me asking, sort of when you were younger and you recognise these struggles, how did you reach out? Did you go to the doctor, or how did you get involved in that sort of thing?
I got fast-tracked through. I was a bit of a tearaway. I think a lot of it was just born out of the fact I didn't really have an outlet for how I was feeling.
Okay, yeah.
So I started like missing days off school and stuff, and there were just days where I was like, I can't go into school today, I just can't face the day. And it wasn't even a case of, I think for me it was interesting because my parents were like semi-understanding but didn't even really want to act off it. They come from a different generation where there is a bit of a stigma about it, and because I was one of 4 children, it's like, you don't want to have the kid who's like had all these issues and stuff. And eventually I got basically put into it through school. I was really fortunate actually. My school was really good. I had some teachers I could talk to, and they knew some of the right people basically to get me where I needed to be. And this would have been when I was kind of 16, 17. So it wasn't like I was in like my really young teen years here. Like really it was, you know, kind of quite late on. But yeah, I was really fortunate because, to be honest, like without the kind of help that I got, the people, I guess, navigating me where I needed to go and, you know, through the system, because it is like you are jumping through hoops to get the help that you need a lot of the time. Like it really is kind of difficult. I think without that, like I wouldn't have gone to university. I would have just, you know, been on this kind of constant, like, I don't want to say negative decline, but, you know, kind of never really pushing myself to do anything more and kind of just plodding on through, which I think is something that even now there are phases where I recognise I'm maybe going into that. I'm someone who, there are times where I just kind of, I'm content just to do nothing, if that makes sense. And for me, like getting all these different help methods out there, these different ways to cope with things and getting it at the right time really changed things from being what could have been a real struggle to I suppose a net positive overall, and kind of, you know, has helped me go on an upward trajectory since.
It's really good though that you're able to sort of, like you say, teachers. There's people there that maybe sometimes people might be worried to talk to, or maybe wouldn't expect to maybe help. There was people there, even at school, where, like you said, there were some days you didn't even want to go into school. There were people there that actually were able to help and put you in the right direction. I think that's really, really good. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I can't trust that enough. I realise if there's like one person listening to this and you feel like you're in a situation where it's like, I really want to get help, I don't want to tell my parents. Because that was kind of the situation I was in, where I didn't want to bring it up with them. Like, if you do have anyone at school or someone at a football club that you go to, I appreciate right now in lockdown it's more difficult than ever perhaps to get to those people. But just like talking to anyone, like people can help, and whilst you might approach someone, they feel like, oh my word, you know, this is a bit much even for me. Hopefully, just by talking to someone, it can make you feel a little bit better, or they can give you some advice of where you can maybe go for things. I know there's tons of resources online now. I feel like 10 years ago when I was going through this stuff, there was a lot less of that online. You know, a lot of mental health charities didn't have that same presence in the online space. It didn't feel quite as accessible. But for me personally, like especially teachers, you know, even if you don't feel like there's a teacher you particularly get on well with, just talk to a form tutor about it, or just someone, because those people are trained like loosely in this area. They're not going to be able to solve things overnight, but they will know the right people to talk to help you like get necessary help.
Brilliant. Yeah, I think that's great advice, really. To move us on, obviously, jumping with some quick fire questions for you, Jack. Books. Are you a big book reader?
I used to be a big book reader when I commuted a lot.
Yeah.
Like, so when I worked in London at Sports Interactive, it was kind of the only time where I wasn't playing Football Manager.
Name drop.
Yeah, humble break.
Weird flex, but okay.
Any books you'd recommend? Any books that, like, during lockdown you think, oh man, you gotta try and read that?
Is it really boring if I say Inverting the Pyramid? Just because I feel like that will appeal to most people listening or watching away. Yeah, Inverting the Pyramid. I can't remember who the author is. I have the book on my bookshelf.
Jonathan Wilson.
There you go. Jonathan Wilson.
There you go.
Jonathan Wilson.
Yeah.
But if you're into your Football Manager, it's quite an interesting book. Although I can't recommend about 70% of the tactics you're going to find in there will work in modern football. But it's a really interesting read of kind of the history of football tactics from the very beginning, and it's just super interesting, especially for me as someone who I feel like my footballing knowledge beyond like the 80s or 70s is just non-existent. There's like loads of really interesting stuff there. I can't recommend it enough.
Jumping on the football books, Dave, I got a book as well today.
Go on.
Joey Barton's autobiography is tremendous.
To be funny, I've read that. It's really, really good.
I'm actually was very surprised. It says I'm quite impressed because on the side it's got some swear words, so it says 15 years on the side. I'm surprised. It only took me about 6 weeks to read it. So I'm well above the curve on that one.
That book was actually that good. I left it at Centre Parks. This is like when it first came out. I left the book there. Well, I didn't leave it there. Someone didn't put it. Sorry, your line cut there. You said but something. I actually bought the book again because I hadn't finished it, and I was like, it was that good, and I was like gutted that I'd left it there. I bought it again to finish it. I agree.
It'd be interesting with that Inverting the Pyramid one if like someone did some sort of Football Manager video on some of the crazy tactics that are in there, like to see how well they actually did in the game as well. Like you said, some of the tactics aren't very good, so. Yeah.
I've got one to recommend as well.
I'm recommending Jack to do.
Should.
I haven't got the book.
Oh right.
Yeah.
I've got one to recommend and I couldn't believe it, but it is like the most like positive mental attitude. It's Eddie Hearn's new book, Relentless.
Right. Yeah.
I'm about halfway through it at the moment, but it's like the most positive spin on, because it's not like him bragging about all the things he's done. It's about his attitude, and even though he's in like a position of, he's basically, his dad used to call him Silver Spoon because he was born into money, and his dad obviously come from nowhere and built it up. How he didn't like it when he was at school because he was always Eddie Hearn's son, and he said in his mind he wanted to get rid of being Barry Hearn's son and become I can't remember how he phrases it, but it's basically he didn't want to be in his father's
shadow,
kind of going, it's all hand-me-downs, you're the rich boy, and it just talks about how he took a job getting paid $12,000 a year just to kind of get himself going, and then the next year he blagged himself into getting a job for $30,000 a year, and how he just literally kept spinning it until eventually he got to a point that when he went and worked for his dad, he went there as an asset to the company, not because he was his son. And as I'm halfway through it and just listening to it, if you need something to kind of, especially people that have taken the leap of faith to kind of go self-employed and do that, something like that, you just listen to it, and it's one of those things that kind of resonates with you because you listen to someone just going, he kind of has, at the end of every chapter, it's like, end of round 3, and it will say the key takeaways, and it's like, it just gives you like these quick snapshots of like, just advice. Really, really good. I can't wait to carry on reading it.
I'm going to say allegedly here because he's been on a podcast recently that I've listened to, and again, I think he must have been promoting his book, Joe, and he was talking about that when he hated that Hearn name so much, being like not almost bullied at school about it, was that when he got with his, he was saying about when he was going to get married, he was going to take his wife's name because he wanted to step away from that name that much.
Well, he says in his book, he actually says that he was a twat at school. He said, I actually hated who I was at school. He said, because I was Billy Big Bollocks, I'd get picked up in a limousine. I'd be hanging out of it. He said because we had everything. He said, and I would be a bit of a twat. He said, and I actually hate the person I was then. He said, I look back at it and go, I I was where I was because my dad had worked so hard. He said, and then when I actually got that work ethic instilled into me, but it's things like he said, like with the bond he's got with his dad. He was like, he never let him win at anything. You know, they'd go, his dad would come home and he'd go, can we play cricket? You know, and they'd be out there playing cricket and his dad would be bowling at him as fast as he can. And he was like, his dad would take enjoyment out of being smashed around the ground by his son, not by going, I'll take it easy on him and let him win. And he said even now he does it with his granddaughters. He's like, he won't let him win at table tennis. He's like, she'll win when she's ready. And you kind of have this mentality now, don't you? It's the taking part is the most important thing. And he's got this like, no, it's a winner's mentality. You know, he said it's kind of different from what they tell you should be doing. He said, but that's where I've got to. And it's just that listening to it, I was listening to the audio part of it on the way home, and it was just like literally just ticking boxes for me, and it just motivated me. I've had a long shit day, and I was listening to it, and I'm like, right, I need to do this, this, and this, ready for tomorrow. So yeah, it's really, really good if you want something a bit positive. Don't necessarily have to like boxing already, huh?
Are you
going back?
Go on,
sorry,
Dave.
Dave.
No, go on.
Just quickly going back on that thing you're saying about the winning mentality. My old man did that to me. We would play anything, cards, chess, whatever we play. He would just never let me win, and it was quite a while into kind of me getting a bit pissed off and not wanting to play. I can remember not wanting to play it. He's like, "Come on, let's play." And you know, we were playing something, and I won, and like the feeling I got from actually winning, because I knew he was trying his best, you know, and I actually beat my old man, was amazing, and I could see why they do it, and I'll be doing the same to my boy. Like, I won't let him win fuck all. You know, literally nothing
about the winning mentality. You know, like when I'm at football coaching, I'll sometimes stand in goal because at that age, you know, if they're playing a match, they all want to play up front or whatever. And there was a couple of weeks ago, they had a corner come in, nice ball in, and ideally I should be staying on my line so they can attack it. I'll come out and collect it, and all the parents are going mad because I'm like making this. And there was another one when one of them crossed in and had a glancing header. And at that level, in a proper match, you know, it's a goal every time. Mate, I pull out a diving save to stop this ball. And again, the parents are just going mad. I thought, I'm being made out to look like a crap goalkeeper here. So like,
but it's not that. It's the fact that, like, you know, you see it a lot where, I mean, we are a bit off tangent, but you see it a lot where, like, you see people die and like they let the ball go between their legs, or they let it. Yeah. It's like, okay, granted, when they're tiny, I kind of understand that. But when they're like 5, 6, 7, like they're not. You know, this is easy. They're not taking away anything from that. And
it's one of my favourite quotes. Is you don't practice till you can do it. You practice till you don't get it wrong.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like that's the mentality there. Is, you know, you make it difficult for someone because when they get it right, it's a lot more rewarding.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying, you know, I pull off, you know, I never, if I stand in goal for them, you know, they score goals and then the kids go mad at me.
Bully Dave.
Yeah. The kids go mad at me like, Dave, what are you doing, man?
Just remember, Dave, they're all going to grow up.
Yeah. Mate, some of them are like up to my shoulders.
Some of them got bigger beards than Dave.
Moving on to TV shows, movies, Jack, you a Netflix watcher? Amazon Prime?
Not as much as I should be, but I did just finish watching The Boys.
Yeah, I've heard about that, yeah.
So good.
Brilliant.
Very, very
so good.
I had not watched season 1 or 2, and then I realised that... Because I remember hearing someone recommend it at the time. I was like, I'll watch it when I have some time. And then another friend mentioned to me, he's like, are you watching it? Like, the last one's out this week. I'm like, wait, of season 1? He's like, no, this is the second season now. You know how you totally lose track of time?
Yeah.
So I sat down and watched, I think it's like 16 episodes of it. It's really good. It's on Amazon Prime Video, but... yeah, really good stuff. Trying to think what else. I've recently watched a movie on Netflix about Flat Earth, which was insightful. It was weird. I mean, basically, the whole thing is they're following these Flat Earth people who do a Flat Earth podcast, and they have these conventions where they all meet up, and at the end they're like, we're going to do this scientific experiment to prove that it's flat. And then they unintentionally kind of proved that the Earth is curved, but they just kind of ignore the results, and the film just ends. But it's like the perfect kind of way to wrap up this movie that is just it's a window into a world that I do not want to walk through the door of to enter.
Is that the one where they do the experiment on the push bikes?
I'm trying to remember now.
Because I think I've seen that one. It is brilliant. Like some of the random documentaries on Netflix is just tremendous. Obviously, Tiger King, we all watched that, right?
Yeah,
I never watched that. I've never watched Tiger
That was lockdown 1 viewing for me.
I never watched that at all. Is The Boys, is that the superhero one? Am I right?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
sort of,
like what
It's like a mixture, isn't it, of like
it's weird. Like it's not really
Marvel
like
and DC, but it's just like they're all. I don't know. It's like an adult version.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Boys is like, I'm pretty sure The Boys is DC Comics, but it's like, what if superheroes were like represented by a company like Disney that like make them look really good in like their image, but actually these superheroes are all assholes and they have no consequences to their actions. They just do whatever the hell they want.
I got you. Yeah.
It's such a different take on what I think for a lot of people. They'll look at Marvel films and feel like they've got a bit formulaic at this point, which, whilst they are still evolving, like the themes usually, because they all link together, are very similar. Whereas if you want something, if you're a bit like me and after like the Marvel Cinematic Universe wrapped up with, this is like such a different like slant on the same genre, and the characters are really well written. There's one character in particular who is just possibly my favourite character of any TV show I've watched in like the last few years, but I don't want to say much more. Like, you just want to go into it.
Who's the character?
Homelander.
Oh, he's fucked up, isn't he? he's a mess. He's a mess.
It's very good.
Is there anything else on there, Jack, or out there that you're thinking, actually, I'm going to try and give that a watch during lockdown, or is...
Oh, is it The Expanse? I recently finished watching The 100, which is like a sci-fi TV series, and I wasn't that happy with the ending of it. It was one of those shows. It wasn't quite Game of Thrones, but I think The Expanse is something that a lot of friends were like, if you enjoyed that, you should watch this, and you'll get this too. So,
Jack, so are you into your sci-fi stuff?
I wouldn't say I'm massively. I'm a bit weird because I used to work in cinematics, so I'd kind of watch a bit of everything.
Is there anything you haven't done?
He works in dev.
You work in dev.
He definitely works.
So have you seen that Under the Dome?
Don't think I have. No. Would you recommend it?
No, I'm not saying I would recommend it, but I just like it's that genre, and I was just like, oh, I've been told a lot by a couple of people at work that it's really good, and it's quite an old series that it's on one of them at the moment.
On Channel 5, like fucking donkeys ago,
yonks ago, yeah. So basically, The Simpsons, where they drop the dome.
It's just about
It's literally that, but just
in real life.
Just like not actually The Simpsons. Like you don't see him go around on a fucking motorcycle. Spoilers. To be fair, if I'm spoiling the Simpsons movie for you, where's your life at? But no, apparently it's meant to be really good, Jack. That means something you could check out and come back to me and let me know if I want to watch it or not.
I'll be your personal reviewer of all TV series that you've been suggested.
So, what else was it? Fake Taxi's another one I've been told about. Is that any good?
I'm not sure about that one. There's another Fake Agent I thought was quite good.
Private Hospital's quite good. That's a good series as well.
just to make everyone aware, we are recording this whilst Football Manager are doing their live stream, Dave. They've just lost on stream and they've asked if they can Dave and reload.
No, they haven't. No.
It's a thing.
Got him.
It was Miles that said that, apparently.
No chance, no.
He didn't. I just want to make you feel special, Dave.
Okay. Felt like Curtie then.
He didn't say anything. He's eating cupcakes.
On TV shows, I'm just going to bring it up. Has anyone watched Lost in full?
No. Yes, and I've watched it through in chronological order too. Someone did a re-edit of all 100 odd episodes into roughly 40 to 50 minute chunks. That's their episodes. Yeah, I binge watched it in my last year at university. That's what I did instead of my dissertation, apparently. But I watched it. I was like, I loved this. The ending was a bit, weird. But then I ended up watching it all through in chronological order. I don't know if this re-edit still exists. It was 10 years ago now.
Check that out.
Yeah, I found a torrent for it, and it's really interesting watching it because it's so different. The show, basically, the stuff that happens at the end is actually
it's them getting on a plane and flying back.
Yeah, see, episode 70 of it is the plane.
Yeah.
It's really
at the end. A lot of it is flashback stuff, isn't it? And so it would be interesting seeing watching that. But I'll probably watched it over across 2 years. I watched the first 6 series of it, and the last series took me about 9 months to watch just because I just couldn't get back into it. And like you say, the ending is a little bit weird, but as a whole series, as a whole show, is really enjoyable. To be fair, so.
I feel like with TV series, a lot of people get hooked up on the ending, whereas for me, it's if I've enjoyed the journey, I don't care
First 3
as much
seasons
about
were
the
amazing.
ending.
Yeah. I remember it was Teach who just kept raving about it, and I think it was like 10 p.m. on one evening. I thought, I'm going to chuck it on. Watched the first episode, and I thought, man, this is like class. And I watched
It's
about
one of
3 or
those
4,
ones where it's like one more.
literally.
Like they always leave it on one of those hangers where it's like, I can't leave it on this one. It's like 3 a.m. It's like, maybe I can get one more and then sleep for 3 hours. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
See, the thing with me is, and this is what really frustrates me, if I listen to a podcast or I watch a series, whether it's on YouTube, Twitch, on like VODs or Netflix, I watch it on ×2.
Yeah.
Now, it's really like I don't know why I do. I've just got used to doing it. So the thing is like I'll be really enjoying a series. For example, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I mentioned it yesterday. There's a lot of episodes to that, but it's literally cut in half when you watch it ×2. So you get to the end and you're like, I still got shit I could watch. I want to watch it, but like this would have been taken up by my time by watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But what I've done is I've cut it in half, and now I don't have another series to watch, and it just winds me up. But I still watch it on ×2. Like ×2 is great. Dave, you sound tremendous on ×2 on a podcast, by the way.
Brilliant. I'll have to try it out.
Yeah, it's really good idea.
Tomorrow's pod, you've got to record at half speed, just so Duke. You can go above ×2 on YouTube.
You sound like Duke then, Dave.
Oh, that's a bit mean. This is meant to be a friendly podcast. This isn't the 5-star pod recorded every week. Open on a Monday.
Podcast, Jack, again.
Oh.
Big good tangent, not tangent, link, whatever. Any podcasts that you tend to listen to, or?
I listen to a lot of esports podcasts, which I realise is a bit niche, like for specific like leagues. Because the issue, like, I'm quite into my gaming and stuff, and with like esports, especially when you've got like multiple regions that you're trying to follow, you can't ever physically watch all the games going on. It's like trying to follow like 6 football leagues at once, and because they all link up at the end, you kind of want to know what's happening. So I find myself listening to a lot of those stuff like Overwatch, League Weekly. There's a few like the HLTV CSGO podcast. I used to listen to like a lot of sports podcasts, but I've kind of fallen off that more just because I can watch all the football matches live when they're like staggered out. Like it's kind of been a side effect of lockdown.
I wonder who's going to host the Football Manager esports podcast when that finally becomes an esport.
If Football Manager becomes an esport, I will be concerned. Might as well just get a roulette table and spin it and distribute the money that way.
It's all done on skill, Jack.
Yeah.
Bring back FM Live.
Well, talking about Football Manager, Jack, our final question. Streamer Showdown, what is your favourite? If someone had never heard of it before and they wanted to watch one of the seasons all the way through, which season would you recommend to them?
One that you're not in, Jack?
No, I was going to say season 6, where I was the first person ever to not win a game in the league stage, and I just got drunk and ate kebabs by about game 5.
Yeah.
You won't see me much on the Sunday, so it's less viewing for you. So it's less of a commitment.
So basically, it's you earn for 1 day instead of 2, so I could watch that on ×1.
Exactly, mate. The knockout doesn't matter, does it? Really?
Dave, is that when you beat Jack in the knockout round in the elimination game?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
No.
Is it that series?
I think it was.
No, that was the one. That was before that.
Oh, was it?
I started quite strong. Yeah. First time, I came second in the group, then lost to Dave. Second season I was in, lost all but one game, which I drew to Manny, who won it all.
That was it.
Yeah, that's
the next time.
No. The one I beat Jack in the elimination, I got to the final on that one.
Is that?
Oh wait, Dave, have you beaten me twice?
In the elimination game? How many times?
No. I beat Jack in the elimination game, but I think that's the one Manny won. But
so that's that one.
No, that is that one.
Yeah, the one you didn't win.
But then I finished.
You beat me in the quarterfinals in my first week. In my first one.
Yeah, but then I
played Dave twice. He's knocked me out twice. Why am I here? Yeah. These are like regressed memories that
I've not knocked you out, so it balances it out, Jack.
these are memories I've suppressed.
I want to know something about FM anyway, because I don't know if you've spoken about it on stream or not, Jack, but you quite like the Korean FM players. I want to know. Are we going to get any? Are we going to get any FM21 collabs?
I would
with
love
you
it.
and the Korean boys.
If people don't know about this, Football Manager is really big in Korea, and there are a few quite big gaming YouTubers who just do Football Manager stuff in Korea. and I have no clue what they're saying. It's just amazing to see the passion they have, because it's like 4 of them crowded around a laptop, like, and half the game is half their stream is the game, then the other half is just them as a group, and they're just going through fancy dress outfits and are doing different forfeits and stuff, and like cycling around the chairs, deciding who manages what games.
I mean,
So even though I don't know what's happening, I don't know what they're saying, but like one guy will go off on screen, and then he comes back with like a Pardew like face mask on, and you're like, what's happening?
You have no idea what's happening. Yeah, it just these random things pop up. And
I just go to
it's just very normal for them.
I just go to the comments and look through the timestamps, and even though all the comments are in Korean and then just a timestamp, it takes you to a bit I know I'm going to enjoy.
That's probably the Korean people probably watch our content and see Clates in a crab suit and talk about the exact same thing on their podcast as well.
Yeah, you got Clates in a crab suit, you got Jack eating kebab like he does, and you got my silly little intros.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably think, what the hell do we do? Jack, talk to me about Monopoly, just very quickly. Is that done and dusted now, or are you still there?
I'm fighting for... I've got one last season to do, but I'm in that limbo. It's like... I should really want to get it done because I'm unbeaten in the league in February. There's no reason for me not to continue playing it, but I've hit that wall that I think everyone hits, where it's like...
Have you won the Champions League yet?
I've won the Euro 2.
Have you won the Champions League yet?
No.
Just Sopranos it. Fade to black.
Season 9.
Oh, okay. So you still got... because my Palermo, we're 15. And we lost the Champions League final last season. And we decided to go again. We were unbeaten in the league until February, and I lost one game last year and I got 106 points, and I just cannot win the Champions League.
I must admit, you raided me after that final, and your chat were not very sympathetic in my chat about you bottling the Champions League final.
Okay, well, that seems to be the end of the podcast. No, you're right, Jack, they weren't. Literally, I was just like, right, because the problem is, Jack, I had to do the pod straight after. Like the 5-star
that's
pod.
a mood ruiner, isn't it?
So I was like, right, we've got to go because I got to do the pod. Go speak to Jack because he's in Italy and he's probably been a bit more successful than I am. So yeah, they weren't happy with me.
Well, thanks a lot,
okay.
Jack, for joining us on episode 2. That does bring episode 2 of the 5-star pod social to a close. Like we said, the plan is we will continue to upload these and release these every morning of lockdown. So if you want to ask us any questions for upcoming podcasts, let us know in the comment section on YouTube. And obviously we'll do our best to reply to everyone. You can email us at info@westreamfm.com if you do want to reach out in private as well. And like we said yesterday, in no way are we professionals, but when it comes to mental health, it is important. So please get in touch if you want to. And there's also links in the description down below. But until tomorrow, we'll see you all very, very soon. Say goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
I can actually wave.
We're waving.